Here are today's top stories and why they matter. South Africa is pressing ahead with the G20 summit despite US President Donald Trump's boycott of the historic gathering, scheduled for November 22 to 23 in Johannesburg. This marks the first time the G20 is hosted on African soil. Trump has rejected the summit's agenda, which includes climate resilience, debt reform, and support for developing countries, and announced that no US officials will attend. But symbolically, the summit carries added weight. President Cyril Ramaphosa must hand over the G20 presidency to the United States as the next host. Thuzo Kumalo reports from South Africa.
With Washington absent, big questions remain. Can the G20 deliver meaningful outcomes without the United States? Expectations are high here in Johannesburg, where local business leaders and civil society groups hope the summit will spotlight Africa's development needs and its influence on the global stage. Delegates and observers alike say they want to see real commitments, not just symbolism from the world's wealthiest economies. However, what is worrying them is that the world's most powerful leaders, including those from China, Russia, and the US, are missing.
The interesting part is that isolation, when you're not present in a moment, or if you decide to not come, it's not just about your lack of not coming, but it's also you end up being isolated. So probably we can reverse the what we think and see. It's unfortunate though, because South Africa will be handing the G20 presidency to USA, and I don't know what that means if they are not attending.
Its absence raises some questions on whether those reforms can be fully implemented in the global institutions, and because we know without the support of the Americans, those reforms can be hard to implement. So it's a big deal.
What does this mean for Africa? The G20 summit is Africa's chance to push for systemic changes, fairer trade rules, debt restructuring, climate justice, and investment in sustainable growth. This summit signals a shift in global governance where Africa is no longer just a recipient of aid, but an active shaper of global policy. In Tanzania, President Samia Suluhu warned that her country's bruised international image could restrict access to foreign funding, forcing greater reliance on domestic resources. Her remarks, made in Parliament this week, come as the government tries to reset its diplomatic and economic profile following contested elections and widespread criticism of democratic backsliding. The unrest erupted after the October 29 general election, where President Samia Suluhu was declared the winner with 97 to 98% of the vote amid allegations of vote rigging and exclusion of key opposition candidates. Why does this matter? Tanzania's economy was on a strong growth path, boosted by tourism and infrastructure deals. The protests have disrupted this trajectory, causing curfews and internet shutdowns that paralyzed business and banking. The closures of the Dar es Salaam port and flight cancellations hit trade and tourism hard. International travel advisories now warn against non-essential visits, threatening a sector that drew 5 million tourists in 2024. And finally, in Eswatini, the finance minister has confirmed the country received $5.1 million from the United States and a deal to accept third country nationals deported under Trump-era migration policies. The disclosure sparked debate over transparency and ethics, with critics questioning whether such arrangements align with Eswatini's national interests and human rights commitments. This story matters because it touches on migration ethics, sovereignty, and global power dynamics, while raising questions about how financial deals shape policy decisions in smaller states. And that wraps up today's stories. For more sharp analysis and the latest developments from across the continent and beyond, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. You're watching DW Africa, and I'm Andrew Wasike.